Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Partners in Prosperity.
Hey, loved ones.
Hey. In this podcast, we'll be delving into the raw and unfiltered aspects of living life together as a married couple as well as in business.
Yes, we will share with you the principles and some of the tips and tricks that we used to work our way from a business that we started at our dining room table to a 7-figure business, all while running a blended household of 5 kiddos and a puppy. We will show you the real deal of what it's like to be with each other 24/7 and running business together and living life together. We like to say how to mix the hustle and the heart and keep both of those as healthy as they can be.
We have 5 kids in our household. They keep us busy beyond
5
belief.
overscheduled children, yes.
But it keeps them out of trouble, right?
Definitely.
Keeps them out of trouble and keeps us in debt, but you know.
That part.
We have 2 businesses we run out of our house as well. One is a behavioral agency where we provide therapy for kids on the spectrum, and then we have a real estate business as well with properties in the Midwest.
And we are trying to navigate our way through managing business, and we looked around and found great mentors for the business aspect. We were able to really get under some great people and learn a lot. And we found great examples in the marriage aspect as far as protecting our marriage, protecting our hearts, making a sacred space for each other. When we were looking for communities of couples that are doing both, that are working just for themselves and are together all the time, that was a little harder to find. So our thought with starting this podcast is to create a community of couples that are either working together full-time right now, working together on their side hustle, or just kind of thinking about it and looking for some inspiration, some real life tips, some real life energy, some real life cheerleaders about it. We will take you through kind of how we are doing it and lean on our community at some points when there's some rough patches and we're not sure how to do it. We are still growing. Our goal is to go from 7 figures to the high multi 7 figures this year. So we're leaning on you guys too. We're learning together. That's the point of starting the community. We are not the end all be all experts. We are not perfect by any means. But we're hoping that 2 imperfect people can get together with other imperfect people that are just trying to create a legacy for their kids, create generational wealth, and change the trajectory of what we've learned where it's only working for other people, and really take that power back and work for our families and have it benefit our families.
For sure. We've come across so many couples when we have traveled somewhere and one of them's an entrepreneur, the other one has a 9-to-5, and there's usually this kind of
what's a lack of understanding, right?
Yeah, one's not supporting the other. The 9-to-5 is like, why are you doing all this? You're wasting time.
Resources,
So we just want to show people that it can be done. You can be around each other a large amount of the time. It's a gift and a curse. We'll get into all of that, but we're excited to share with you guys what we know, and hopefully it helps you guys out.
And build a community along the way. Like I said, we want to learn too. We want to learn too. We are lifelong students and are always listening to people that are doing it, thinking about doing it. I just think that we are put on this earth to learn from each other, serve each other and learn from each other.
So we, before we get into our first topic, which will be running your family as a Fortune 500 business, we kind of want to have a little fun and do a little something we call Ish and Giggles.
Yes. Now, we don't want to say the cuss word. We understand that this is a family podcast, but you guys understand what we say by Ish and Giggles. Yes. And these are just questions that are thought-provoking that Sean really introduced us to us. As we were dating, he would come up with these cards of questions that would just, sometimes they were funny, sometimes they were really deep, sometimes they were like get to know you, but he has anywhere in our house, and you can ask any of our friends, he is going to pull out some cards and we're going to have a discussion. So this is really representative of what we do. And so we'll save the deep ones until we know each other better, but we definitely want to get into ones that provoke some thought, that make you kind of get to know your significant other on a level maybe you guys don't talk about these questions. What we definitely need from you is your feedback in the chat. We want to know your input on it, because we can only answer for each other.
Right.
So we want to know definitely, are we crazy? Are we in the minority? Or are they like, nope, that me too. So that's all we need from you. But this is our segment called Ish and Giggles. Our first question: you're at a bar when someone picks a fight with your significant other. This person is the same sex as you, but you are no match for them. Do you defend your significant other? Explain.
Ooh-wee. Now, this takes me back.
I knew you you were going to go there. I swear to God, I knew you were going to go there.
Takes me back.
And he's never going to let me live it down.
To this one time where I bring you in.
I already know.
To the dome.
So dramatic.
To the dome.
Yep.
The Superdome. The Nolans Superdome. And we going against the Seattle Seahawks.
Now, I would like to interject really quick.
Go ahead.
There are some fans, and then there are 12 men, okay? Now, the difference is, Sean and I 2 years ago were at the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl game, right?
Yes.
And I just didn't understand the energy I was getting. Now, Rams fans, I am not coming for you because perhaps you just didn't make it to that game, but the ones that we were sitting next to,
Yes.
it was clear their team was about to win, and the team was still having to be like, stand up, get into it.
You couldn't hear. Yeah.
When on the flip side, we were by Bengals fans as well. They got shirts off. I got 9-year-olds in tears because his team is out there. So that is along the lines of what 12th men are. We are ride or die. We are there for our team. We're not there to take a selfie. We are there to scream. We are there to critique. We are there to ride for our team. Okay? No, he's not wrong. It's not over. 12 men, stand up in the comments.
Stand up. Stand up.
Okay, so I just wanted to interject that because there's watching the game where it's like, yeah, this is really cool. Let me post it to Instagram so my friends know I came. And then there is watching the game where we are in a bad mood if we lose. We don't want to hear any craziness. So that is the type of fan that the 12th man is. So I just want to put that out there. But continue. Now that we have context.
And let me make sure I'm understanding this right. You're speaking for all the 12 men.
Yes,
not
I
just
am.
you.
Yes, I am.
All like
12 men come through in the chat. We do not halfway watch a football game. We ride for our team. Now, other teams may be that way too. I can only speak for my home team. Which is the Seattle Seahawks and their fans. And there's a reason that we've been loudest in the NFL for years at a time. So yes, I speak for all
your stadium, the aerodynamics of the stadium, and all that.
Yes, and with your physics degree, you are highly qualified to speak of the aerodynamics and how it affects sound. I don't know this A&M that you speak of.
Texas A&M.
I don't know.
12 man.
I thought Texas was its own country. Never mind.
We're at the game, Saints, Seahawks. We're in the Superdome. Everybody's lively, jovial. The concession is like no other. You got jambalaya in there. You got hurricanes. You don't see this stuff nowhere else.
Very true.
Now, everybody's having a good time. The Saints fans is rowdy. Everybody's having a good time.
Everybody but the Seahawks fans. We were losing. I tell him all the time.
You were losing.
We may have a losing record, but we are not losers. So we are unable to keep a happy, jovial face if we're losing. So everybody was not having a good time. Sean and his fans were having a good time. We were quite agitated.
Listen, I was sitting there nice and peaceful because I have seen the Saints lose a game before.
Yeah.
And I have my paper bag ready just in case to put that on. And so the game, we're winning. And the Saints fans are happy. You know, we don't have a big history of winning. And my significant other here starts jawing with this guy.
That's not
over
true.
Here.
He started.
And I'm like,
he started.
He
started.
This
you know
is
the
not
hecklers.
necessary.
You know the hecklers, right? The ones.
What he say
now,
to you?
I was already not feeling 100% myself. The backstory is that we had met Tyler Lockett's parents on Bourbon Street.
Explain who Tyler Lockett is, first of all.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You guys know who Tyler Lockett is. Don't do that.
They don't. He's a member of the Backstreet Boys.
No, don't do that at all. You guys know who he is, okay? So they were in town. The Seahawks were in town. It was a nice night on Bourbon Street. So after several hurricanes, and who knows what the hell else, because every time we ran into them on Bourbon Street, they had a big crew and drinks to give.
They did.
By the way, Tyler Lockett's parents. By the way, Tyler Lockett, your parents are amazing.
They are. They're cool.
Yes.
Cool people.
Yes. So we had partied a little bit much that night. So that Sunday saw me on the porcelain floor just so I could have some coolness to my face.
I remember that.
Because I had to rally for the reason we came to New Orleans, which was the game. Our teams were playing each other.
And
so I was already...
11
Yes, 11 o'clock. So you can imagine what time we had to get up, get ourselves together to walk to the stadium, which is an event of itself, right? Everybody walking to the stadium. So I was already just not the best version of myself.
Right.
And then bring in that my team is losing, and the man who probably never held a football in his life had a whole critique about our entire team. Now, we're talking about men that are down there that have done everything that's necessary to make it to the NFL. But you, in all of your wisdom, who has done just enough necessary to make it to the seats behind us, have a whole critique of what my team could do.
Critique his seating choice.
So no, it wasn't my best moment.
No.
And I just was going to tell him that. Just explain to him, sir. Not today, sir. No, not today. Like maybe tomorrow, maybe the next game, but not today. I barely got any words out because my significant other, knowing how I am, turned around and told me to sit down. He didn't say anything to that man.
Yeah, I was like, listen, you got to bring it down. This New Orleans, we don't know what he got in here, what he done smuggled in here. We just trying to watch the game and go back home, do our thing. And, that's that. So
Sean's answer to that question would be like, no.
Now, listen.
That's the answer to his
now,
question.
If I knew Cat Daddy didn't have any weapons or anything, I could definitely take him. Like this was, he wasn't some big dude. He wasn't some big dude.
He was sloppy drunk.
He was.
And emphasis on the sloppy.
Yep. And you never know what them people got.
Yes.
You never know what they're going to do. So
that.
Lesson learned is, don't get into any shenanigans at any games unless your life is, threatened.
So I would like to think of myself as the superior spouse. I always tell them that I just love him more than he loves me. So I'd like to start from a place of answering the question from there. So as the one in the relationship that loves harder and loves more, I would like to think if it was something that he felt was enough to go up against somebody of the opposite sex, because he's really the laid back, happier, sweeter version of us. He really is my better half. He represents us very well. If he felt that whatever was angering him at that moment was enough to rise up against somebody of the opposite sex, I would like to think that my love and my loyalty to him would cause me to stand up and be like, what you got? Now, I may lose, but she's going to know that I was there.
You know what?
But I don't know. Maybe I just love you more than you love me.
No, see, here's the difference when you have genders at play here. Because the guy, you never know what he's going to have up his sleeve, what he's going to pop off with. He may have just got fired from work. He just want to go to the game, get drunk, let loose. Women aren't typically like that. Y'all going to pull some hair. You're going to do some raucous, a bunch of and all that kind of stuff. But a drunk guy, nah, man, that's unpredictable. That's unpredictable. In that environment, it's uncontrollable. He may have had 12 boys with him behind there. It's just me and you.
Oh, it was not me and you. We had the 12 men behind us.
You know what? I had some Saint stuff on. They probably wouldn't go help me.
But they loved me enough to ride for me. That's just how we ride. I don't know how you Saints fans ride. I'm still getting to know the Saints fans. Listen, if the Seahawks are not playing, I will ride for the Saints because I love him. I just can't speak to how you guys roll. Like, would you have helped out? I don't know. But I can say that my Seahawks fans.
I don't know if they would have.
I
don't know if they would have. They were pretty rude to me.
12s.
When we went to the stadium.
That is not true.
That is not true. We beat their butt.
I have a picture of us sitting in the bar of the hotel the day before, and it was nothing but Seahawks fans in the Sheraton on Canal. Nothing, and they were. Sean chilled with all of us. Seahawks fans, Seattle lights in general are chill as hell. They would have rode for him. But I mean, I want you guys as loved ones. I want you guys to chime in. Who loves the other one more? Who would be
That's
willing?
not the question. That's not the question at all.
Who would be willing to lose life and limb for the other one?
That's not the
Just
question.
let us know. You know who it is between us, but I would love to know who it is.
I know what the fellas are going to say. And the fellas are going to say, let's take the safe route.
I don't know.
Unless there's something physical happening, unless he put his hands on you, then, we got to. But otherwise.
So you would say critiquing my team in my moment of need wasn't akin to him putting his hands on you?
No, it was not. It's verbal. It's just verbal. Now, he came up, he was like, hey, nah, it don't matter what he say.
I get that.
He could be like, hey, you look good. Nah.
So it has to be some touching involved.
Yes. Words are just words. Words are just words.
Okay.
See, and I know where you're going. You're trying to create a scenario in your head.
I'm just actively listening.
No, you ain't.
This is something that our counselor gave us. You actively listen.
We've been to counseling.
So you guys know who loves the other one more in this. I would love to know in your scenario. Let us know. Okay?
Let's see in the comments.
Yes.
We'll see.
Please let us know.
Tally it up.
And if you have a story that further explains your point, please share it. Okay?
But be safe.
Yes, be safe out there. Be safe out there.
Be smart.
Yes, and we'll see you at the next Seahawks game. Oh, next season. We're not doing nothing in this postseason, so next season.
I did want to make a little comment. Never mind our Christmas stuff that's still up back here. I know it's February, but listen, we didn't put this stuff up until I think
the day of
Christmas Eve.
It was so bad that our lights were broke when we were putting up the tree, and we couldn't even buy any more. That's how late we put up the tree. So we're going to get all this Christmas spirit out these decorations. I don't know when we're taking them down.
Listen, it's going to be February Christmas.
It's never a bad day to celebrate Jesus' birth, right?
Yeah.
So before
you
you say anything, happy birthday, Jesus.
So let's get into how you run your family as a Fortune 500 business.
So the basis for this that we came up with is that wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, so if you guys are solely working for yourself, if you're blessed to be at that point, if you guys are kind of working your business as your side hustle, or if you are just thinking about getting into business together, what I think all of those things have in common is that you were at one time in the corporate world. So that could be anywhere from McDonald's to working on Wall Street. You were working under a corporation and being represented by a corporation. There's so many things that we do when we put on our representative and go out into the world to represent a company. We make sure we are on top of it, right? We make sure that we are using our time, mostly wisely. We make sure that we are giving the amount of times we are hitting goals that are set. We know the roles and responsibilities of our job and the people's jobs around us very clearly. Yes, the goal setting, the setting priorities. There are so many things that we do to make sure that this company flourishes. So we talked about what we do as far as running a business together is really with the goal in mind of making sure that our family flourishes, right? That's what we're doing. We're trying to create a better existence, a better livelihood, a better future for our family. So why not approach our family and the way that we run it the way that we see Fortune 500 companies approach their companies and with the expectations that they have of you when you are representing their company. If they can do it and it works for them, we can do it on a smaller level. Always keeping the hustle in the heart, in the hustle. So definitely, as much as I want to treat my children like my 9-to-5 employees and send them home after 5 o'clock, there's some things that we just can't do, right? But just keeping in mind the basic principles of how they run their companies and using that to help our families get ahead and help us run our families in a more streamlined way.
How we would start that would be, you want to identify what your branding is, what your purpose is, and then how you want to achieve that purpose. And so you want to start off with some sort of visual or representation of your family like a company does. So that would be your family logo, your family crest.
For sure.
Then maybe a mission statement talking about what you guys have in common, what your common goal is, what you prioritize as a family, and how you want to achieve those.
For sure. And so if we can go back to the logos for a second, I think back to the kids playing. Sometimes we'll play it as a family, right, on the TV where the logos flash up and we're seeing who's the first one that could name the logo, right? So that brand recognition is huge. But also I think of people repping their school colors or their school logos. To be a part of something, to us repping our teams, to be a part of something and to be wearing it proudly because we are associating with this. That pride that just comes with repping what is what's important to you or what you feel like represents you most. So yes, Sean was right. Some people do family crest. Our family, we decided to do a family logo. The biggest reason behind that is that we were coming in as a blended family. So this is both of our second marriages. So we were merging last names. We decided to merge last names because we wanted the family that was coming in and seeing their mom take another last name to still feel like they were represented. So we created our logo with both last names in mind. We'll put it up so that you guys are able to see it. But our kids put it on their, they wear it on shirts. We have it, around the house on things. It was all over the place at our wedding. But it is something that represents us well. We've talked about getting family tattoos with our family logo, but it's something that gives us pride that only represents us. And that we are able to kind of say, yep, when we see it, yep, that's us. The same pride you get when you're repping any team, when you're repping any brand that you identify with. So that branding piece for your family is a huge piece. However you guys decide to do it, it's a big piece of it.
And let me tell you, one of the most productive things that I've gotten for her is a Cricut. If you don't have one, get one because you can make your nice shirts and everything that she's put a lot of time and effort into creating for us to create our brand specifically for our channel and everything. So that's where we created the logo. We put that stuff on everything from T-shirts to backpacks to if they wanted to put it on their shoes, if they wanted to, we could put it on their shoes.
I think it's on our family menu outside. Yeah. We have it. Anywhere that we can insert it, we insert it because it gives them that sense of pride that they are under that, logo that represents them. And so that's one that we really use to represent ourselves. Speaking of logos, this one right here. So our Partners in Prosperity logo comes from the first matching tattoo Sean and I got together. Yeah. So Sean can show his. Mine's on my ankle, but show yours. So it's not an accident. I don't know. Yeah. Here, let me just, it's not, if you just, okay, listen, if you can't see it, it is the exact same logo that you see right here. So when talking about what's important to us, this logo that we made ourselves to get matching tattoos, we said we would never do like names, but we wanted to have something that kind of unified both of us. Yeah. It's something that we're under. It's a brand that represents us. So I think that picture, that image, that brand is huge to kind of making everybody feel like they're a part of something.
And so after the logo or the family crest, then you would come up with a mission statement. And how did we come up with ours?
We first of all talked about the things that were super important to us.
Right.
So we talked about traveling. So our family is huge on traveling. We try to take the kids out of the country twice a year. We are trying to get the kids to agree to no more Christmas presents and just traveling. We are not there yet. Yeah. What ended up happening last year is we ended up spending twice the money because we told them little presents, big trip, and we ended up doing big presents, big trip.
Big trip.
Yeah. So we're still working on that, but that would be our best case scenario, right? That we could just do trips and maybe we will be able to do that more effectively when they get older and they don't want to open and the whole Santa thing. Traveling was a big one to us. Service and giving back, being of service to people was a big one to us. Breaking generational curses and traditions that no longer serve us. We are proud advocates of the people that raised us and the communities that we come from, and the
shout out mom and pops.
Yes, and the sacrifices that our ancestors made to get us here. We do know that the way that the world has evolved and the way that our understanding of things have evolved, some things probably didn't serve us back then, but when you know better, you do better, but they definitely don't serve us now. So that was a big one of just trying to make some changes to how we were raised maybe, or traditions that didn't serve us, or antiquated thinkings that didn't serve us and got in the way of us having a family that's
happy, healthy, and whole.
So really, if you sum our mission statement up into three sentences or to 3 words, it would be, us doing things under the guise of creating happy, healthy, and whole individuals.
You read my mind. I was just going to say that.
Sum it up?
Yep.
Sum it up. So yes, it says a lot of words, and we've even offered money for our kids to memorize it. We're not there yet, but I think the problem is we need to memorize it. So I think once we memorize it and blow their minds, then I think that they'll memorize it. But just having it is prominently displayed. Everybody comes to our home, sees it. Our kids see it all the time.
They do.
So just having a set of values that because then it's easy to disregard the things that don't fall within those values. To disregard the people that don't fall within those values, because you are clear about what your family stands for. So I think that's huge. And I think that every company, if you go to their website, has a mission statement prominently displayed somewhere. So first knowing, because the next one will be goal setting and priorities, but it's hard to know kind of what your goals are that you want to hit if you don't know the umbrella under your values that you want those goals to fall within. So those goals are going to have to be under the value. Now, when we set our goals, we have to make sure it sets us up to travel. So does that give us the freedom and the flexibility to travel and to be able to kind of leave when we want to, or take advantage of trips that are available to take advantage of? So we set goals and priorities based on that. Is this going to make us happy, healthy, and whole? Or is this something that's going to create a lot of drama, that's going to create a lot of trauma? Unnecessarily. So does that fall within that boundary? How does this focus on us giving back? How does it focus on us making sure that we are being of service to people around us? Because that's huge for us. So setting those goals and those priorities, we always go back to, does this support one of the principles in our mission statement?
Exactly.
So your goals could be that you want to be able to take a family trip every year. Your kids may be older, they may have spouses, you may have grandkids. How do we set priorities then so that we're able to take a family trip every year? Because then you're gonna, start to create systems and set up choices based on making sure that goal happens. It will never accidentally happen. That's what we tell our kids. chances are, if when we revisit this at the end of the year, that a lot of these were hit, and it won't be on accident. It's because we were very intentional about writing out what we want. And so those goals are going to change, right? Those priorities are going to change. Our goals right now are about being together as a family as much as possible. Our girls compete on the weekends. My son competes on the weekend. Both sons compete on the weekends, whether it's football or dance. So that tears us apart. It tore us apart last weekend. It will tear us apart this weekend. And that's what it is. So because of that, our goals are heavily focused on how do we keep our family together as much as possible? How do we do as much with them together? Because we have a freshman and a sophomore, and we know the time is fleeting. At some point, they're going to go to Switzerland with their friends on Christmas and not come back. You know, and that's their option. We want them to be able to experience those things. But our priorities will shift when people are out of the house, and we don't have to focus on that. So everybody will set those goals based on what's a priority to them at the time.
And then once you set those goals and priorities, you want to move into how you're going to achieve those goals, and you need to have people in certain roles in order to achieve those goals.
For sure. Allow me to interrupt you for a minute. Guys, you'll notice I interrupt him a lot. I would say in the goals and priorities, what brings a lot of you here is the hope to one day, or the hope to continue working solely for yourself. So if that is something that is a goal, we set that goal probably 2 years before we were able to make it a reality. That is something that you need to be making choices consistently to make sure that that happens. And it's also something where you're going to essentially jump before you're ready, because there will never be a great time. You know, he had a 6-figure earning job just in and of himself, and who is going to voluntarily give that up on a maybe, you know, for us working for ourselves. So if that is something that you want, it may just be a side hustle that you guys do on the weekends. It's quality time. It's fun. You bring in a little extra income. That is great. But if it's something where you're saying, at some point, I want us to be able to work together for our family. I tell my kids that all the time. You're not going to go get a job at McDonald's and have them pay you 50% of what you make them. You're going to come get a job with us. If we pay you 70% of what you make us, the other 30% still stays in the family. So I do understand why you would want to use your resources to just benefit your family, but that needs to be something that makes its ways in a lot of your goal setting and priorities. Even if you're not hitting it each year, you will see that you're making steps to get yourself closer to that. So sorry, Absolutely. I just wanted to interject and put that in there when we're talking about goal setting.
That's good. What would you say would be a good way to track those goals? How would you?
So the way that we tracked the bringing you home was we broke your income down into 4 steps. You remember when we did that? So our first goal was just to match his income by 25%. And then we set a day. If we weren't unable to do that by that day, we kept moving that day back. But we made moves with that in mind, that we need to be able to match his 25% of his income. And then once we were able to do that, we moved to 50. So by the time that we got to a point where we could match his income 100%, then we felt ready to leap. But when COVID hit and you got furloughed, we were like, crap, we're only at 25%. We gotta make something happen. We gotta make something shake. Now, we were blessed that he was brought back to work, but it was a harsh reminder that, hey, companies do what's best for them. They don't do what's best for your family. So we need to figure this out immediately. And so that's kind of how we set that goal of bringing you home. The other goals we set, we tell the kids, we have family monthly meetings, and we'll get into that but we tell them, guys, when we have our next meeting, we need to talk about what you've been doing to meet that goal, breaking it up. So our goals are broken up into 12 steps so that we're revisiting the whole time. So always keeping it somewhere where you can see it and then revisiting it often. Because there are no accidental millionaires. There are no accidental, perfectly fit and healthy people. Everything that you do is intentional. There are no accidental happily married people. And so you have to be very intentional about where you give your time, just like you're intentional about where you give your time when you're at your job. Even those that slack off the most. The fact that you're still employed means that you are still of value to them, and so that you have it in you. This is what I got to do for this company, because they were successful at setting the culture and letting you know what they expect. So we have to make sure that we're working just as hard on our family and our family dream.
Now with the roles and responsibilities, that's always tough when you're working with each other, because you end up, stepping on each other's toes. And so that's happened a lot with us, where we've had to trial and error our roles and responsibilities. Some things is just, my lane, some things is just her lane, but a lot of it is both of us tackling at the same time, because we don't want her to be laid up or me to be laid up or something, and one of those lanes ends up suffering because it's solely on one person. So, my background is IT, so I handle a lot of the IT stuff, whether it's family, business, or anything like that. And so she knows that that's pretty much my lane. She pretty much gives me all of that type of stuff. Anything high level business related, idea related, that comes from her. And I like that because I'm not good at, taking a blank piece of paper and creating something. But if you give me a piece of paper with something on it and say, hey, I want to do this, I can definitely show you how to get there and what the best way is to do it and all that type of stuff. So,
and I am not, when they say God is in the details, I am not in the details whatsoever. So I have the ability to kind of foresee what I want the whole picture to look like and come up with basic milestones that I want. And then I hand it over to him, because sometimes it is too ambitious. He's like, we can't do all of this at one time. This is not something that can happen simultaneously, maybe concurrently. So I think that those skills lend themselves to each other, because I can be the visionary and create the structure, and then he fills in all the hows, and then he's able to kind of see around corners where my excitement will blind me to that. And I'm like, of course we can do, we can expand into 7 markets. You're limiting my actions. I'm an idea man. And this is the conversation we have often, because he's like, we cannot do all of this, you know. But I do know that God gave him to me for a reason. So I try to remember that when he is squashing all of my ideas. But what talents and skills do you have that kind of lend themselves or offsets the talents and skills that your partner has? Those are how we kind of figure out the best roles and responsibilities to give to each other, because you're really going to be best at it if it's something that just comes naturally to you.
And you want to figure out what those roles are and who does the best in those roles, so that you make sure that you guys are maximizing your efforts. You definitely don't want to both be doing the same thing at the same time and not knowing it. I mean, that's happened a couple of times. I think it just happened with us yesterday, where we were calling on insurance.
We were on the phone with the same insurance company. He was talking about something, I was talking about something else. I'm sure if they asked each other, they would be like, these people do not talk at all, because I just talked to her about this. So we still struggle with that.
But there are times where that's happened, and she was told one thing and I was told something different, and then we were able to kind of collaborate with that and figure out what the best plan of action was. So sometimes it helps, sometimes it's redundant, but ultimately what you want to take away from that is you want to make sure that you have your roles clearly defined, and that way you kind of avoid a lot of the, hey, why are you stepping in my lane? Why are you coming in and telling me what to do? That type of thing.
And I think that's huge when you guys are working together, because a lot of people say, how can you guys be together all the time? That's a huge one. And I think that it helps because he has his own lane and I have my own lane. So although we're together, we're in 2 different lanes. So people are thinking that we're working side by side like this. And that's not what's happening. A lot of times he's kind of at his desk working, I'm working at my desk, and then we kind of collaborate. But the ability to know that he's doing what he needs to do and I'm doing what I need to do gives us some grace for each other when things like what happened yesterday happens and we do happen to step on each other's toes. But that is what helps us be able to work side by side.
For sure.
And be around each other for so long. For sure. Because I'm clear about what I need to do. He's not working for me, he's working with me, and a lot of times he has his own set of things. So we will do our weekly meetings where it's like, okay, well, what does your week look like? What are you working on? What does your week look like? That way we can keep each other accountable. And if it's looking like it's starting to corner off, we say, okay, well, who's going to handle that? Because I was going to do that, and having those conversations. So I would say those roles and responsibilities are huge, just keeping the peace. Because nobody wants to feel like they're being critiqued, and the only way I feel like I get to that point where I'm overcritical is if he's doing something that I know I can do better. Because then it's just like, I shouldn't have given that up, I should have done it. So being very clear, like, no, I'm a little bit better at this, let me handle it, has helped us tremendously.
Making sure that you prioritize those duties or tasks, especially if it's something that is in one person's lane and the other person can't really do it. You may not be able to completely do it, but there's some help or something that you can maybe lend to help get it done quickly so that you can move on to something else.
Yeah, hitting those goals together, kind of picking up the slack when the other one needs to. So I think those roles and responsibilities are huge for that too. But we tell our kids too, this is what your role is. Right now we're not requiring anybody to have a job, but paper shredding. There's things that they do because they still are getting paid by our company. And we'll talk about that in another episode on how to successfully pay your kiddos so that you can, it's a tax write-off. But like I said, I'm not interested in having them use 100% of their work power and get paid 50% while they're making another company money. I would rather them spend that time and energy working for our company, and then it's just feeding back into the family. So they do know what their roles are and who's supposed to do what in our home family, but also in our company as well. So that doesn't just stop at the 2 parents. It's also for the kids as well.
And when you're talking about goal setting and responsibilities and roles and priorities and all of that stuff that we just talked about, all of that stuff comes up where? In meetings, right?
Yes.
In a meeting. That's all 9 to 5s do is meet, right?
That's what, yes. Some days, don't you think that we're
Yes.
just in too many meetings? There are some days where I'm like, I am tired of hearing myself talk. If somebody, I will tell my assistant, I'm not answering any more questions. I'm like, I'm tired of hearing myself talk.
Right.
So yes, I know you guys know too in the corporate world, just how many meetings about meetings. But here's another one you should add to your list, that family meeting.
Yes.
So we do a couples meeting. We do that once a week, usually at the beginning of the week so that we know what each other's week looks like. The way that the hard stops that we have on our calendar is that Fridays are our day. The first half of the day while the kids are in school is for us. And then the second half of the day when the kids are out of school is family time. So Friday is a hard stop. There is no work, very little work. If something's on fire, we work. And then we do have a meeting once a week that we take on Fridays. But that is our, we're not doing. So again, when we talk about your priorities, our priority is making sure that Friday is for couples and family. So we need to set up our week so that we can get everything done so that the business is not suffering because we made that decision. So that means sometimes it's more than an 8-hour work day.
Right.
There's more tasks that need to get done.
More times than not, it's more than an 8-hour work day.
100%, because it's important to us to have that Friday blocked out. But those meetings come in because we can tell each other exactly what we're doing. Let the other one know, hey, I need you to, to take over this. This is what's going on. But those family meetings are huge. We do those once a month.
And those are kind of structured similar to a business meeting where all of our kids, they have tablets with family logo on it, take their notes and everything in there. We put their goals in there, just the one we just had back in January for the new year. So we had one in January. The one we'll have in February will address what they've been doing to help achieve those goals that they set starting in January. And so it really is just like a business meeting.
Yes.
Your kids are your employees. Everybody, takes a turn and speaks. We go over, the family calendar for that month, what we need to do as far as lodging.
Who's traveling where?
Yep.
Are we all traveling together? Are
Logistics.
we separating at some point? And, some people are staying behind and some people are going. We have birthdays all the time. When there's a family of 7, there's always a birthday. So what are we doing? Are we doing a party? Are we traveling? Again, we're pushing for traveling for everything. But this time around, we're doing a birthday party.
Yes.
And so what are the logistics of that? What do you want? What do you want to see in this birthday party? So everybody can kind of give input on it. We talk about a huge one that we're talking about now is investing.
Yes.
So our kids, we'll get into that a little bit more in our next bullet point, financial management. But our kids have let's call it a spending card. I don't want to rep a company that's not repping us, but let's just call it a spending card. And on that spending card, there is a portion that we can allocate to them per month for investments. So they can't spend it on anything else. They must invest. And so we talk a lot about, hey guys, I heard this company is doing well. Should we look into that? What are you guys thinking of doing? What are you guys using right now? What are you using where you feel like you should invest? So we expect that they drain that investment account every month and invest. We do have some slow people to pull the trigger where the money's just sitting in their investment account and they haven't put it in, but we're working on that. They're young enough now to just have it be an ongoing conversation. We talk a lot about credit. So it's really where we can kind of sit them down. We can all feel like we're part of a greater good. And we've talked about our 2 service opportunities this week. And actually she just hit me up about the foster care graduation. She just hit me up.
Okay.
Yeah. So we talk about our 2 service things that we do. We do one in June and one in December, but it's just a time to kind of go over what's important to us as a family, what's going on, and have everybody be on the same page. So Sean and I, of course, are taking notes. We make our kids take notes because studies have found that you remember most of what you write down versus just kind of, and it keeps them dialed in. So like he said, everybody has the same tablet with the family logo on it. And we insist that they write it down. Sometimes we'll stop the meeting and ask questions just to make sure people are writing things down. But it establishes that we are a unit. We are a cohesive unit all working towards one goal like a company is. And that's how everybody should see their family. We want to be just as successful as a Fortune 500 company. We want to be just as recognized as a Fortune 500 company and just as able to be of service to people as those companies are. And so that's why we really try to run our family that way.
For sure. And in those meetings, it gives the kids a chance to it's kind of an open forum where they can bring up something that they may not be happy about or something that they want to see differently. We really try to parent differently. We take the positive stuff from how we were raised and mix in with, little millennial stuff. my 1981 baby over here.
Just tell my age.
Yep.
You want my shoe size? You guys want to know how much I weigh? Just goodness gracious. Okay.
And so that we can allow them to have a voice and say, what they may be displeased with, or what they're happy with, or what they need.
Yeah.
We don't want to shut them out or make them think that, the whole meeting thing is one-sided, that it's just us telling them what to do.
Yeah.
We want it to be interactive.
So that it means something to them.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So then we will go into, this is a good one to go into, financial management, which is huge with our family because we're trying to teach our kids how to budget their money. As
Yes.
we said before, we often peel off, and kids are at competitions. Kids are without us during the day because they're at practices for hours at a time. So the topic comes up of paying for my meals. I need shoes for this. I'm interested in this. So on said card, we will put money. So right now we're doing their allowances based on their grades. So, we pay per grade, and we do that every 2 weeks. So it's a small enough sum to hold them for 2 weeks. But they understand that in school, just like in life, the harder you work and the more you see success is directly correlated, or at least should be in most cases, to your return on what you get. So I know some parents don't believe in paying for grades. I completely get that. But our thought on that is, when you get out into the real world, working harder and getting results that show that you're working harder, a lot of times is going to correlate to you seeing more success, and
Sure.
success, shows itself financially as well. So we do that. So people that are not really trying and their grades are dragging, you don't really have a lot of money to spend that for those 2 weeks. But how are you allocating the money that you have to spend? What are you saving up for? We gave our son a car. It's not a god awful car, but it's a used dated car, and we're saying this can be completely turned around, but it's going to be your money that does it. Yep. Here's the car, you're welcome, but now you're going to, just like we flip homes, you're going to flip this car with your money. So what are you saving for? What are you doing to, make sure you have enough money for gas, those types of things. Right. So we go over kind of what we're saving for as a family. We go over like the family trip. We have one that we're trying to figure out right now. But we talk about our highs and our lows with them. We talk about when we bought the house, how our credit dipped. We talk about, our wins and losses financially, but we also talk about what are you doing with your money. And so that's something that makes them feel like a part of the whole, because they're hearing the overall financial projection, but also has them asking themselves questions about, okay, well, how am I spending my money?
One thing, let me piggyback, going back to the time management part. One thing that is crucial, especially for a family size of ours, is some sort of structure. Without any type of structure, it's literally chaos. And so each week, I know the girls have practice on these days, the boys have practice on these days, and what time everybody gets home. So we try to make sure that we at least have church on a Tuesday or Thursday, that we build in our family time on the weekends. That way everybody knows exactly what's expected of them of the week. If it's a time where we're doing church on a Tuesday or Thursday, everybody knows, hey, they need to either have their homework done before it, or you're going to take a break, we're going to do church, do our praise and worship and stuff, and then you're going to go back to it and do it afterwards. So just having some sort of structure is very, very helpful.
And what helps us too is having the family menu. So it helps us know, well, it helps me know what to shop for. So I know exactly for 2 weeks. I think I did the menu for the month this time. So I know for that amount of time what we're having, so that I can make sure that stuff is in the house. That helps me because he already knows what is for dinner. So if he can start it, or he'll ask me like, what do I do to get it started? Because everybody comes home from their activities raging hungry, understandably. So just having that kind of understanding of, and then the kids already know, if I don't like what's for dinner, this is what's for dinner, so I'm going to go ahead and pop a pizza in, or I'm going to go ahead and warm up leftovers, because we don't insist that our kids eat whatever's on the menu, because I know that there's things I don't like, and even forcing me to eat it won't change anything. So we don't force them to eat what's on the menu, but we're saying this is all we're cooking. We're not making a different dish for you.
Ooh, our parents are like, what?
I know.
You ain't eating what I said?
No, because they're not like that, like grandparents. My mom probably comes and cooks 3 different meals. So no.
But back in the day,
set
that on that table. That's what you
And how did that work for you?
Outstanding young man. Outstanding.
And you still don't eat the stuff that you were forced to eat. No. Actually, there's probably some trauma wrapped around it. But that menu helps a lot, just because it helps me grocery shop, so that we're not running back and forth to the store. It helps us shop in bulk, which we have to do anyway with such a big family, to make sure that everything we need is, even though the menu's set for the month, every 2 weeks I do go shopping to re-up on the ice. Our family goes through ice like Eskimos, and then the produce, but it at least gives everybody an idea of what's to be expected for tonight. He can start dinner because we commute for the farthest for our practices. And so that is a time management tool I also wanted to throw in there. I think we got it.
Okay. The things that we use to facilitate a lot of this, we use, is that Family Wall? The calendar?
Mm-hmm.
So Family Wall is a pretty cool tool that we use. You can have multiple walls within the family wall.
Multiple
we have
calendars.
Yeah. So we have one for just our family. We have one with our friends, so that we can all see.
Coordinate trips.
Exactly.
Again, travel is a priority for us. So anybody in our life, that's a priority for them too. So we do coordinate a lot of our trips based on what our kids' schedules are doing.
And then
we have a calendar.
Yes, so we have our own. We don't really use that one that much though, huh?
We don't, no.
Yeah, everything's usually on the family one or the friends one. I try to make sure that I put on the calendar, date night with mommy on there, so the kids even see that, so that it normalizes, hey, mommy and daddy need their time as well. We're still working with the little one on when we leave, she loses her mind. But, that's something that she's got to get used to,
For sure.
For sure.
And normalizing setting out space for ourselves, no matter how they feel about it,
That it's not just about them. So.
Yeah, I think that along with the family wall, we all use Color Note. We the thing about the family wall that we do love is it does allow you to make a shopping list. So a lot of times the kids will go into the pantry and one of their favorite snacks is missing. They can add that to the list right then because I tell them I shop from a list. My memory is shot. Raising 5 children and working on a company, by the time I get to the grocery store, I'm not remembering that one time you said we needed the cinnamon flavored applesauce, and not just any cinnamon flavored applesauce, the one with Barney on I can't remember all that. So if you can put that on the list, then that increases the likelihood that you're going to get the cinnamon flavored applesauce with Barney on it. So what I do love about Family Wall too is that everybody is able to add to the same grocery list. So the things as kids are running out of them, they're adding them. So it's not up to mom or dad to just get this list started. But then Color Note is huge too. So we keep a ton of lists on Color Note, anytime we're hosting anything, so Color Note is very helpful for just lists. I think that's what Color Note does. It does lists.
We're a Samsung family, Android family, and so that's right. Nothing against iPhone, it's just a preference thing, but Android's better. So what we use to kind of control the kids' devices is called Family Link. And so that's a free tool with Google. And so it allows you to install apps, disable the phone,
give them limits. All of them have limits.
Time limits.
In fact, if you see us in public and our kids are calling us, it's usually to ask us what.
And you unlock my phone, they're out of time.
Yes, we give them that time. They run out of it. That's the only time we get that phone call to get on mom and dad.
And so it's really helpful because I tell them, hey, I don't have to take your phone. I can control it from mine.
Make it a paperweight.
So make it a paperweight.
And so sometimes you will see the exact moment the phone turns into a paperweight because we are starting church or needing to go, and he will just push that button and everybody will be like,
everybody coming out of their room, coming out the bathroom.
Cooperation. It's just like the glass goes. Do you guys remember it was Incredibles 2 when when Screensaver took the glasses off? That's literally how it is as soon as the phone becomes a paperweight. So that's super helpful as well.
It also has a find your device feature in there. So the little ones lose their phone all the time. You can ring it.
Or they lose our phone.
So they'll lose our phone because they'll come and get ours when they run out of time. So that's one to use. And then Life 360. That's very, very helpful as far as seeing where your kids are when you're not with them. Especially for our older ones, if they're at a party or they're hanging out with friends or something at the mall. We can see, hey, are you really at the mall, or did you go over to where you're not supposed to be? And
it helps them see how close we are to picking them up. They'll call and say, you haven't left home yet. Where are you at? So it helps them, also gives them that peace of mind to know that we're on our way, or they can see where we're at. When we're out of town, a lot of times they'll want to know. We go to Vegas a lot, so they can kind of track when we're in the car on our way back. It gives everybody peace of mind from knowing. And another parent gave me the idea of friend groups. As our kids are getting older and going out with their friends, everybody kind of adding each other on their Life 360, if not even for that occasion, so that we can see if somebody leaves, somebody gets taken, or so that's helpful. And the SOS works really well, as we found out when our daughter accidentally pushed it. So if they're ever in a crunch, you push that, and if they don't hear from you, they're dispatching.
The police called me like 4 times.
Which caused her to disable it on her phone because she said she didn't want the police to come again. But that also gave us some peace of mind as parents, like, okay, this works pretty well. Now listen, they are not paying us at all. This is parent to parent, how to help you out on the techs and tools that we use to give us some sanity for our, for our family, to help us out.
That's all we have for this first episode, right?
That concludes our first episode. We got through it. Oh my gosh.
That was really long.
It was long. I hope you guys are still with us. I hope your eyes are not glassing over.
No.
I hope that we gave you some tools that you guys can use. Like I said, everybody's at different stages in their journey, their entrepreneurial journey. Hopefully, as we go along, we can, elaborate on some of these more. This is just kind of a skeleton of things to keep in mind when you are trying to structure your family like a Fortune 500 family,
right.
Or like a Fortune 500 company. But as we go along, we will dig deeper into some of these and give you more specific action items. But not bad for the first one, right? If you guys are still hanging with us, thank you.
Yep. So we'll post more after this, obviously. Definitely subscribe. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at PartnersnProsperity.
Yes, and please engage with us in the chat. We've asked several questions, and we are honestly wanting to know the answers. We want to know if which one of your spouses loved the other one more. We want to know. 12th man, I want you to check in. There's a couple different things in the chat that I'm looking for, so please chime in the chat as well so that we can get to know you guys.
We out of here.
We're out, yes. We are unified in purpose.
Unstoppable as a team.
Unconditional above all.
Come on, make it work. Pull up. Come on, make it.